Well, it's finally here, everybody. Dead City. Lord knows we've been waiting long enough for this. Welcome back to the ZMAM show. I'm Mike here. Welcome, zombie fans of all ages. I want to get straight into this episode, talk about my burning questions and just some of those, you-know-what moments tonight that just made this episode pretty dang awesome, actually. I mean, it's been so long. I've been watching Fear for so long, it feels like, of these last, month or two, that I feel like I've just been, I don't know, tainted with this bad writing and storytelling and so forth. But here we go. We have a story between Maggie and Negan. Now, I know what a lot of you are probably thinking, this tired story about Maggie and, Glenn getting killed and so forth. But they did some things tonight I think that was really smart in tonight's episode. Kind of hitting back on Maggie's past and showing a little bit of that PTSD. You notice that moment when she was sleeping in the car and Negan was in the back and so forth. And she started having those dreams and flashbacks. And I was thinking to myself, if you were in the same, room as someone who brutally murdered a loved one of yours and you saw it happen, I mean, every time you saw that person, that's all you would ever think about. That is all. And I don't know why I never really stopped to truly think about that. Maybe because most of us don't, have the tragedies of going through something like that. But I was just like, okay, it's a traumatic experience. But it was really, really, really great for Negan to call out Maggie tonight. I mean, he sure did when they got to the shores, and I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but you guys saw the episode, so I don't need to go in chronological order per se. I thought it was really good for Negan to call her ass out, and he was like, you know what, Maggie? And I loved his tone and his style. He goes, don't think I haven't noticed, all the little shit you've been giving me, ever since we hooked back up or whatever. And he laid it to her. And then he said the bomb drop, I called it, when he goes, how many husbands and sons have you killed, Maggie? Which, okay, now true. Did most of them probably deserve it? Okay, arguably so, probably, right? But it's true, right? And she, and then this moment, I really felt like, wow, her comment saying back like that's something you never let go, very true, but also very selfish of her, right? Because she's not even admitting that she has done wrongs to other people and so forth. And I don't know. I mean, she hasn't made every right move, right? She's not a saint. This is for sure. She's done some gnarly things. And, you really see her state of mind, too, from the beginning of the episode. Taking out that walker, which was kind of silly on her part to let it sneak up on her like that. But all the same, a brutal killing of a zombie. The zombies are looking great. The city's looking more than decent for given the budget that AMC's probably been given, especially when they got into the city and so forth and just showing those open landscapes. As you can tell, I'm pretty excited about this show. I want to see more. Now, there were some other little tidbits going on, but I want to talk about a little bit about these rangers, okay? The police presence, if you will. So they're in a new, I guess, town called, or a new place called New Babylon. I think that's what it was called. And apparently they have a ranger force, and they're after Negan. Apparently Negan killed a magistrate and I guess 4 other people. Now listen, we know Negan is a devious SOB, but he's past his days of just killing needlessly. I think we can all agree with that. So if he killed them, it was for a good reason. Now the question is, why did he do it? That's what we're going to have to really look into. That's a burning question. What's going on there? This young girl, Jenny, I'm going to get right back to the Rangers, but I want to hit on Jenny real quick. We find out a little about her. She's a young girl. She's not speaking due to a traumatic event. Her dad walked off, I guess, apparently into the forest or something like that. She caught back up with him, trying to look for him, and he had already turned. I hope we get to see a little flashback scene, or just to understand a little bit more. If she's going to become an actual character, let's get some background to her. I know it's a little early, so no worries there, but I hope they take some time. So we'll have to see. Hopefully it comes back, and or maybe she speaks at some point and we get to learn a little bit more about her. So the Rangers. So we get to see these 3 Rangers. Actually, 2 are only Rangers. One's a recruit, and this guy is green as hell. You can tell already. It just almost seems too nice for the job, really, if anything. But and he doesn't even get a weapon. Apparently they don't get one until after 3 months of being in the service or whatever. But anyways, they're tracking Negan for these murders that he did. They make it to the way to this bar, which is within New Babylon, and I want to call out the moment when basically he's questioning that. I don't know if she was the owner or whatever, but she was definitely covering for Negan because I guess he was doing some walker clearing work or whatever. Well, I guess he didn't do that great of a job because after basically this ranger pegged her for lying almost immediately, she was playing it way too hardcore. He throws her out back and puts her to the fence. And this is what I love about the style differences between The Walking Dead and the Fear of the Walking Dead. I feel The Walking Dead is so much more visceral, okay? And what I mean by that is he puts her to the fence, and her fingers are on the fence, and I'm over there. I'm like, oh my god, the fingers! Don't let the zombie get your fingers or whatever. And he's holding her to it, and I'm like, well, she clearly lied, okay. And then she starts spilling the beans, more or less. And then he turns around, right, and he's like, but you lied, and under article yada yada yada, you're aiding and abetting, and he tosses open the opening between the fence and tosses her through to be eaten. Now that's the difference. That's the difference in just some really solid visceral writing and so forth, and just like getting nasty about it, because this is the kind of world they're in. So let's see it. Now that puts me to question though, this ranger. I mean, where is his rule? I mean, is he truly following the lay of the law? Is he just kind of doing his thing? Later on, when he catches back up with Maggie and Negan, when he takes his other little buddy, I guess ranger buddy, and they're looking for the new recruit that Negan and Maggie had taken as cover. We get to hear him talking about how he has a wife and 3 kids and all this. Is this BS? Is this true? I think it was just really something just to get her to come out, right? As I don't know if he was going to let her go, because when they get into that fight scene, he says you might even have a good reason, I mean, prior to that fight, but then they get into the fight, and she says, it's for my son. I need him to save my son. You can tell, she's clearly telling the truth. And he just rears down on the rifle to her neck. So I'm like, I don't know about this guy. We're going to have to see where this is going. But I was a bit disappointed about his other buddy. Of course, we never really, he's not a main character, I guess, if he's just going to kill him off that fast. But he was supposed to be guarding the front door so nobody got out. And we knew those doors were going to cave in sooner or later. But they kind of just caved in. And it's just like, in a split second, he was just on the ground being eaten. And I was just like, you have a machine gun? You didn't even try to turn, put some shots off? That's a little lazy. I think that's a bit lazy. I know they only have so much budget and screen time, whatever, but that would have been worth the action, and just to kind of see things going down and at least give the guy a fighting chance. Furthermore, also there's that word again. I've been using that a lot. I gotta stop that. Furthermore, the ranger guy, he ends up shooting his recruit, right, when he's with Negan or whatever, and I guess it was all the things going on, which really there wasn't that much going on at the moment, but he puts off a shot and totally shoots the kid. I mean, so I'm just like, is it amateur hour? So this ranger, he looks like he's a badass and looks like he's, laying down the law. But I'm like, is this just an amateur? Just trying to act like he's really good at doing what he does. We're gonna have to see. So Negan and Maggie, yeah, they're on the run. We got a lot of questions with these walkers flying off the tops of the buildings. I mean, at first I was like, are these humans like that are running the city? Maybe are they throwing the walkers over? But I'm like, well, how's that work out? Or did they somehow corral all the walkers into the buildings, and now I guess if the walkers happen to hear something down below, maybe they just start jumping off? Questions, I don't know. But we saw some very interesting areas. There's that cockroach scene, but that interesting alley that was clearly blocked off by 3 layers of buses. Now, I'd love to know how they accomplished that one while the apocalypse is going off. But I know they talked about how it was one of the epicenters, Manhattan was. I mean, it's where it started, or one of the places where it really started. So maybe they were blocking off areas with cranes and so forth and lifting heavy things. This is possible. Unlikely, but possible. But it was some very cool backdrops, so that's the important thing. So I want to know what you guys think about Dead City so far. I'm on board. I'm ready to go. I think it's light years past Fear. Fear, I feel, is just a show they just didn't understand what to do with it. They're just like, hey, listen, we still got all these characters, so, here's our 3 plots. Throw a dart at a board, and we'll just go with it. This one, I feel like we might actually have an objective, a goal. We see Herschel. Oh, and the main bad guy. Well, what we think to be the main bad guy at the moment. The CROAT, I think is what they call him. And I don't remember this guy, and so remind me if he was back in the TWD days when Negan was running the show at the Sanctuary, whatever. But I don't remember this guy, but he's very interesting, and I think I recognize the actor too. But yeah, he seems very cold and calculated. And the way he's talking to Herschel, and Herschel's like trying to play it off like, I'm not going to tell you anything, you can't scare me. And the dude just starts pulling out a few instruments, torturing devices, and then Herschel just starts losing it. And of course he does. I mean, you're a kid. I'm glad they aged Herschel. I really did not like the young Herschel that we had back when we were finishing off TWD. I know he's a young boy, but I just wasn't buying it. I hope this young man can pull it off, because he could really grow into be an actual future character of some sorts, so that we want to see. And there was one last thing that I did forget to bring up in there. Did you notice how fast Negan dodged the question about Annie and Negan's to-be child, or if it was born or whatever? He totally deflected and just started moving on to the conversation, to something else. Like, so what's that all about? I mean, did Annie die or whatever? I mean, I think we can all agree that, as we saw towards the end of TWD, Negan loved her a lot, and their baby to be, and he was willing to sacrifice quite a bit. And I think he paid for some of his sins, maybe not all of them, but he's definitely been on the path for redemption, and maybe we can't always fully forgive him, but sooner or later, Maggie's just gonna have to understand that I'm trusting you with the life of my child, right? I need your help. So she can't dog him all the time. You're gonna have to trust this guy sooner or later. Yeah, you've had your instances or whatever, and sure, he kind of knocked you off a train car and almost fed you to the dead, but this is only because you wanted him dead. So you see, it's tit for tat. I just I don't know. She's definitely got to kind of come to some kind of sound grounding that, okay, this is where I'm at, and this is how we're going to move forward. I know we're early in the season of the show, and so we are going to probably see some big changes in Maggie as we move along, because I do feel that Negan is going to be on a redemption path with her. So I know I rambled off a bunch there, but I mean, those are a lot of the highlights and things that went down. Again, the backdrops and everything, the old dry cleaning and clothing, whatever shop or whatever. Not a small place, but yeah, very just dark and just, like I said, everything just feels right with this city of the dead. But I want to know more. I want to know what's going on. What's up with the building that looks like it's always on fire all the time? It's probably not just a random building. Something's going on over there. It looks like it's going to be a heck of a season. So make sure to leave some comments if you enjoyed. Check out my other content on my channel. I have a small indie series called Dead Nightmare. If you like indie stuff, it is not Walking Dead style, or at least that quality, but we do our best and we have a lot of fun with it. So other than that, I am Mike with the ZMAM Show, and I will catch you guys at the next Dead City review. See you guys.